Welcome back. So, in our Selenium with Java series, today we are going to see how we can automate or what are the different ways we can automate the list boxes and then the drop downs. Okay, so what are the drop downs? So, in the drop down, actually, we can select one of the option. So, there are multiple options in a drop down it can have, and you have to select any one of the desired option from there. Okay, now, what are the use cases? Like, what kind of actions you can perform into the drop down? Actually, you can select one particular index in the sense either the first element or the second element or the option from that drop down. Actually, another one, there could be one value attribute from HTML. It might be rendering with a value attribute. Based on that value as well, you can select one of the option there. Display text, like you, if you put a drop down, let me show you that. So this is basically a drop down, and you can see these are the visible text actually. So if somebody will say that to select the female option, then this is the visible text which you can visualize and then select that. Okay, there are some test cases or scenarios it might need that you have to count the number of elements or number of options present for this select. So in this case there are three options except the first one. So you can validate as well the number of options that is present inside this particular drop down. Get first selected option, this is basically like whatever you selected, you have to validate that. So let's say that if I am selecting not applicable, how do you test it? Now at this moment I can manually see this one, so with my eyes, so I can say that yes, it is selected. But while you are executing your test cases runtime, you need to fetch it. Whatever you are selecting, that should be selected here. That is what you are going to validate. So these are the options we can what do you call, we can perform, or these are the actions we can perform on a drop down actually. Now let's see a bit about how exactly this particular drop down looks like in HTML. So right click, inspect, and as you can see here, it starts with a select tag. You can see it is highlighting if I am mousing over on this, yeah. And then on this select, like as we have input, we have label, as the same thing we have select. And this select can have a regular attribute like id, name, class name, anything it can have. And inside the select tag you will have all the options. Now these options are basically the elements that you are seeing inside this actually. So each element determines one of the option from this drop down. Now this option is nothing but a option tag or the item tag, and it can have again name, value or id, anything, each of these options. And then it can have a display text or a text which is visible here. Like if I'm putting select, you can see visible text. So that's where actually I said based on the value we can select, based on the visible text we can select, or based on the index, like index starts from 0, so I can select the first option by using the index 0. Okay, like that we can do. Now let's see in action actually. So for this I will be creating a new, so let me just do one thing. So this radio buttons we have seen right in our previous video session. So I'll copy paste that one and then rename this one to a drop down actually, drop down sample. Okay, now in this this is sign up page only for sure. Now select. Okay, so this is s gender is the name, right? So what I can do here, I will say web element and I will say select equal to driver dot find element by dot and name, right? And it is s gender, it is in all in small letters. Okay, maybe I can even do like this. And then so I cannot perform like this, okay, because this will treat it as a normal web element only. Like I can click, I can send some value, but I cannot select actually. So to make this happen, what I can do, I can use the Selenium select class actually. So there is a select class and I will give some object, and here I will say new select. Okay, inside this I need to put this particular element actually, whichever I identified. So this is my select element which I'm putting inside this constructor. Now this becomes my the drop down. Now anything I want to do I can do on this particular variable actually, web element variable or a select variable. Now if I put dot, there are few things are displaying here, like select by index. As I told, select by index, I can give 0 for the first option. The same thing if I put select dot select by value. Now what is this value? This value is basically this value attribute. Okay, now this is select, you can see male, and m is a small letter. Now here what I can say, I can say male. Now the second thing is that the third option, select by visible text. Visible text is basically whatever you are seeing. See, now for this fourth option, it is not applicable is the visible text, right? But the value is NA. So if you are using select by value, you have to use NA. If you are using select by visible text, you have to use the not applicable. So here I have to write like this, not applicable, the entire one. Now this one I can put it as or. If you want to put this select by value, now this will be NA only. Okay, like this only you can select. Let me comment at this moment. Now what I will do, I will put some thread dot sleep in each of these selections so that you can see this in action. And always make sure that the selection will happen only one only. Now here select by index, I said that first option, I said male, I said not applicable. So all these things will not retain actually as it is. What this will do, first it will select the first option, then it will select the male and override with this selection, then male will be overridden by not applicable. Let's quickly see this in action. So right click, run. Male, it's selected, then not applicable, you see it is overriding and then it is closing. That's how you can select everything, because only one selection at a time only. That is what the drop downs behavior. Now the second thing is that how do you basically fetch the value that got selected. So let's see that. So here what I can do, I can use the select object dot, and here I will say get first selected option, means whatever I selected, get that option. But if I get that, it will give me the web element. How do I get the text actually? Now if you see this option, opening and closing element, it is there, right? It means that I can use the web element get text method actually. So here what I can do, dot get text, I can write. Hmm. Okay, so now let me do this. Now what this will do, every time it will print whatever I'm selecting. So let's do like this. In each of these, let me select one by one. Okay, so that it will tell us that what it is selecting. Fine, now let me run this one. Okay, so as you can see, first it selected the select option and then it printed here with the get first selected option, then it printed male and then it is giving the visible text. Even instead of this, you can even use like this also. If you want to, let's say that if you want to print the value, so instead of get text, you can use the get attribute as well. Get attribute of value. You can do like this as well. So it will print the small letter one. So like this you can print. So whatever you are selecting, you can use it here actually. So you can compare actually whether it is really selected that or not. That's how you will validate your application, right? Okay, now this is our second part is done. We can select, we can fetch what it has been selected. Now the another one is that let's say that your like application says that this particular drop down should have four different elements. So we have to get the count as well, right? So for this, what I can do, I will do one thing. I will comment off to here actually. I don't want to select anything. So I will do a multi-line comment off to here. Okay, now from this onwards I will say select dot get options. You can see get options. Now this will return me what? Let's see that it will return me a list of web element. It means that I need to capture the list of web element. That's what the return type says, right? How do you know? Always what you can do, you can mouse over on this get options. You can see here list web element. Just give something here like options, and then these options I can loop it. Now how can I loop? Actually I can use the enhanced for loop actually. So here what I will do, because it is list of web element, I have to use a list web element option, some variable I'm taking of what, of this collection, this above collection. Inside this what I can do, let's say I want to print it. Now this will become the option. Option is nothing but each individual option of that drop down. Now I can play with this option object. I can say get attribute of value, get attribute of value. I can print this one, or else the same thing I can even print the visible text also. For that what I can do, I can print the get text as well. So any one of these options I can do it. Now let's see this. Even I can get the size of this one also. So let's say options dot, if I put, I will get a size. So this will give me the number of elements present or number of items present inside the drop down. So here I can say drop down items count. Okay, I can do like this and append it, and here just make it more readable format. Now let's see that if it is printing all of the options or not from that drop down. Okay, so it's basically not doing anything here, but it is printing. You can see the total count is 4, and then first option is select, then male, then female, then NA. Actually I was getting the value attribute, right? If you are getting the text, you will get the text that are visible on the application, those things. So you can do that. Now another thing you can do, that let's say that, so I mean you have to compare something and select that, like let's say here I can even do like this also. So let's do like this, string name equal to, okay, and here I don't want to print anything. So first you capture the individual value inside this for each loop. Now here what I can do, I can put a if condition, if name dot equals, let's say small male, and then so here you select it. So I can loop and select it also. So I don't want to even use all this select dot by index, select dot by value, all these things I don't need to write also. I can do directly like this. And in this case what I will do, if the name is matching, then option dot click, option dot click. Okay, so if it is, if this name means this option dot get attribute of value is matching as a text as male, then you click on that option. Even I can do this also. Let's say that you have a requirement where you have to loop entire options and then match a text, and then you select that. So that way also I can do that. Even this one I can write it like this also, get text, option dot get text I can write here as well. Let's see this in action. So run it, and you can see it selected male, and then it is just printing the total number of count which we got it from here. And then that's how you can select. So even without using the selects its own default methods also you can select it. And this could be one of the interview question also, that without using any one of these options, select by index, by value, by visible text, how do you select a drop down option? You can say that we can loop it and we can select any one of these option. Okay, so actually now this is drop down, right? Now drop down's behavior is that at a time you can select only one option, but there are instances where you have to what do you call, select multiple options actually. For an instance, let's say that skills, actually it is asking what and all automation tools you know actually. I mean, this is one of the example I'm taking. So here, let's say it is not that everyone is compulsory only know Selenium and don't know anything else. Let's say that somebody is more familiar with JMeter as well as a performance testing. Now what that person will do, that person will select this one also. Let's say that they know coded UI as well on the C sharp side, so they will select like this. Now how do you do this one actually? If you do with select by index, select by text and all those things, basically it won't allow you, because this select index is only applicable or will allow you only one selection only, because it is a combo box style actually. This drop down is combo box style, but this drop down, I mean whatever you are seeing here, is kind of a multi selector actually, kind of a list where you can select one of that option there. So this is basically we call it as a multiple select actually on that. Okay, now for this actually what we can do, the same thing we can do, but here, now you might ask what is the difference between these two. Pretty much same. Let me just inspect this one, and you will see it is also a select only. You see, this is also a select only here, but here you can see there is a multiple equal to multiple. Now this makes this drop down as a least selection or as a multiple selection actually here. Now this could be one of the example where you can select multiple options, or else you, I mean there could be a transmission or a transformation of this one in terms of list boxes as well, where you can select multiple things. This one we will see in our upcoming sessions, but let's see first this particular drop down, which where we can select multiple options actually here. Okay, now let's see how to do with this one. This is pretty much straight actually. You have to first identify this one. Now whenever Selenium provides anyway multi selection, now depending on your HTML whether the multiple allow or multiple not allowed, it will make it as a least selection or a drop down or a combo box selection. So what I will do, the same scenario only, I will make it as for the least selection only or a multiple selection. So what I will do, I have this drop down sample, right? I'll just copy paste and I will paste it, and I will say here multi select. I will say multi select drop down sample. Now in this case this is an ID, right? It is an ID, and I think it is tools. You can see this is a tools, so I will make it as tools. And probably the same methods I can utilize it here. Let me show you one by one. So I can select by index here, okay, and I can select by, what do you call, this one as well, by value. Even I can select by visible text also, but the thing is that you need to make sure properly, because this is combo boxes, right? Now I need to find it out here. So let's go to the first one. You can see the value is a small qtp, but the visible text is capital qtp. So if I am using value, I will put small qtp. Okay, actually this is first selection. Now I want to select the Selenium. Okay, now this is my second index 0 1. So what I will do here, maybe I will select here 0, which will select the qtp. For Selenium, to select it small Selenium, I will change it to Selenium. Okay, now by visible text you can see it is a test tag white, right? So I will select this one. Fine, and delete the rest. Now if you see here, it should allow me multiple selection. Now this one also let me comment for now. Now let me run this particular test case. Okay, you can see first, second, third, all of these options got selected by using all these three options. Now this question comes, we were using in the drop down as get first selected option, right? In this case, if I keep it get first selected option, it will give me only this one only. But because it is allowing multi selection, I have to fetch all the selected item. So for this actually we have another option where I can use the select object dot get all selected option, not first selected only. Now this will return me what? List of web element. Okay, list of list of web element. Okay, and here I will say selected items, some variable name I'm using, and I will loop it actually as usual for web element. Okay, web element dot or colon selected items, and here I want to print it actually. So el dot, so whatever it is selected, get me the text of that. Okay, so okay, here I taken already a web element, so I can just say item selected. Okay, and here this item selected I will be using here. Now let's run this. So it will select all three options and it will display me also those three options. But in case of drop down, we were only used to fetch one option only. Now three selected, and it is also printing, you can see all these three options. Like that you can verify it whenever you want for a multi selection. Now the same thing, let's say that you want to loop it and then you want to select something, you can even do that as well. So here what you can do, the same select dot get options. So see, there are two things which is returning me as a list. One is get all selected option, whatever you selected that group or collection of items, or else all the items. Now this will return me all the items irrespective of selected or not selected. And then you can even print it like as usual we were doing, and then you can capture the value. Now let's say that if the value is matching, let's say j meters is small j meter, right? So I can say like this, if j meter is matching, then you select it. Let me just comment this one. Okay, and yeah, I was printing this one and everything. These are part of the drop down, right? So I can delete these things. Fine. Now what this will do, this will identify the drop down or the list box or the multi selector actually, and then it will loop over wherever it is matching j meter, it will select that option. And it can, if it is matching more number of j meter options, it will even do multi selection also. See, j meter selected, there is only one element found with this name, that's why it got selected. And you can see it is giving me the drop down size, even though only one selected, this will give me all the selected non-selected items also, and you can utilize it to test your application elements. Okay, so that is pretty much about your say, what you call drop down with single selection and multi selection. Now, in our upcoming session, we will see what is all about a list box. This is again an alternate to the drop down where we can, instead of a group of elements, we can select or click each of the element. So there will be a checkbox actually against each name, which we have seen here. This one. So we will see the difference between a radio button and a list box as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. Hope this session is useful. Uh, do subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.